One Night in Miami. This is a fictionalized portrayal of something that did actually happen following Muhammad Ali, or at this time in his life, Cassius Clay's defeat of Sonny Liston to win the world heavyweight title, I believe it was, in 1963, and what ensued that night in a Miami hotel room with him, Jim Brown, Sam Cooke, Malcolm X, and they had a night of philosophizing in a hotel room in Miami. This film is directed by Regina King, the actress making her film debut as a director. This is a great movie. This is one of the best movies of the year. I highly recommend it. I might get on my soapbox a little bit talking about the things about it that I really enjoyed, but I think, and I've probably said this about other films as well, but I really do mean it about this one. This is an important movie, and I'm going to explain why, but I'm going to start off with what I liked. Man, dude, you talk about an ensemble cast where every single actor just brought their A game. These guys are just incredible. It's hard to tell which one's giving the best performance. It really is. I think they're all great, and I don't want to discredit any of them. They're all phenomenal, and they're all going to be in movies for a long time after this movie gets seen by a lot of people. But the two I want to hone in on, Aldous Hodge, he was in The Invisible Man, and which a movie, full disclosure, and I know a lot of people really like that movie. I thought that movie was silly, but I remember thinking he was really good in it, and he's great in this as Jim Brown, and I think he's going to be in Black Adam. I think he's going to be in a superhero movie here starting soon, and you look at the dude, and you see why. I mean, he's a really great actor, but another one I want to talk about, and I think the guy who will probably get a majority of the accolades for this, Leslie Odom Jr., who you may know from Hamilton, where he played Aaron Burr. He's been making some really unique, good career choices, and as Sam Cooke in this, man, this guy is great. And I was watching this, and again, and this has happened before, I was watching this being like, man, if you're going to play a singer in a movie, you better know how to effing sing. Because I'm watching this, and it's like, this guy is incredible. This guy's like out of old Hollywood, where those guys who could sing, dance, act. He is amazing. And there's a moment at the end of this film where he's singing, and it's just a one shot of his face. And it's one of the most powerful things I've seen in a movie. I guess we're in 2021 now, but in 2020, I think he'll get nominated for an Academy Award for this. This is really an incredible performance. But all of these guys, this guy who plays Muhammad Ali or Cassius Clay, his name is Eli Gore. Sounds like Cassius Clay, looks like Cassius Clay, and you have these four lead actors who are all playing, titans, right? Like the larger than life creations, and yet they never feel like caricatures, and none of them, they never feel over the top. They all have just the right amount of subtlety to their performances. This movie does more in 2 hours than Spike Lee has done in 20 years in terms of its portrayal of black people. And I think that's why I think this movie is so important, honestly, because in this day and age especially, and here we go, Chris on his soapbox, but I'm sorry, you can't ignore these issues when talking about a film like this. In this day and age where the discussions about race are so prevalent, as well as they should be, this is a film that shows that even titans of the black community, they weren't a monolith. There's no correct way to deal with institutional racism. There isn't, or systemic racism. And you have these four different perspectives, all slightly different with their own philosophies, and seeing them, listening to them go back and forth, it is truly fascinating. And the movie doesn't take sides either. It's not like it says, hey, Malcolm X, he was right. Well, Jim Brown, he was right. Sam Cooke, he was the one who was right. They all are right and wrong in their own ways of dealing with things, and their own ways of living their lives as key pieces of the African American community. And again, I've brought this movie up before, but it's like, I think back to The Five Bloods, which is the Spike Lee garbage heap from earlier in 2020. And I know a lot of people like it. I get it. If you enjoy it, fine. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I didn't like that movie at all when I first saw it. And the more time has gone on, I've grown to like it less. In fact, like, I feel just kind of like icky when I think about that movie. I just think it's just the worst kind of pandering. And here, this is a movie that just tells a story. It's not preachy, it's not pandering, it has these phenomenal performances, great writing, it's sharp, it's timely without being overly sentimental or overly preachy. It's like, in that aspect, I feel like it is an important film, and I hope more people see this. The movie looks great. You feel like you're thrown into 1960s America. The set design, the costumes are all excellent, and that stuff, I feel like that stuff goes overlooked a lot, but you know when it's bad, and you know when it's right because you're not thinking about it. You're put into 1960s America, and you just feel like you're transported into another world. And that I give credit to the set designers and the costume designers and the art direction of this movie for really making you feel like you're being put into a different place and time. There are some things about this movie that I didn't love. The movie it's so small, and you have a film about these four legends, and I feel like it could have been bigger. I feel like it could have been more. Now, it isn't as small as I thought it could be, because I was worried I was just going to feel like I was watching a stage play, and you don't, but I felt like there was an opportunity for them to really, really go big with this and really hammer home a message, and they didn't. And part of me gives it credit for that. It's not overly preachy, like I said, but you do kind of get a weird feeling watching it because it's a film about such big issues, and yet it's essentially a bottle film. At the beginning of the film, I wasn't really vibing with it. I felt like it came across a bit hokey. That was like the parts where it felt like a stage play the most, because I like theater. I like plays, like musical theater, but plays they're hokey, right? Like they have a fair amount of cheese to them, and you kind of felt that early on, and I was worried, like, okay, are these characters gonna be caricatures, or are they gonna feel like real people? Now, after like the first 5 or 10 minutes, the movie settles down and you really feel like you're actually listening to real people as opposed to caricatures. And I think a lot of people are going to connect with this. I understand why this has a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's a very difficult movie to dislike. Like, the acting is so good, the set design is so good, the characters are so rich that, like, it captures all the basic needs that a good film needs to have. I think you're essentially a crazy person if you don't enjoy this movie, to be honest with you. I think it's an extremely likable and extremely watchable film. Lastly, and this is going to be one of my longer reviews, but that's fine. About 6 years ago, there was that controversy with the hashtag Oscars So White. And for people who don't remember, it was that the Oscar nominations were announced, and they featured almost exclusively white directors, white actors, white actresses. And at the time, and I was a freshman in college, which, there's no such thing as a smart 19-year-old, but I remember not understanding the backlash and just being like, why are people so upset about this? Didn't they just nominate the films that they thought were the best, and they just happened to star white people? And yet I watch a movie like this, and it's like that movement was so much more important than people give it credit for, because a film like this, I don't think would have gotten the time of day even 5-6 years ago. And for that reason, I encourage people to watch it, and I'm glad I watched it, because it's a freaking great movie. And I don't care if it stars white people, black people, whatever. I like good film, and this is a great movie, man. Give it a watch. 8.5 out of 10 for One Night in Miami. Congratulations to Regina King. Her directorial feature film debut knocked it out of the park. Give this thing a watch. It's on Amazon Prime. You'll like it quite a bit. So that will do it for this review. I've been away from social media for a while, but you can follow me on Twitter at Castellani 2014. But while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that like button. Comment. Let me know what you thought of this movie. Let's get those watch hours up. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. I will be right back here later for more reviews. Peace and happiness.